Hello, my name is Sarah and I'm glad you're watching this video today. I'm an instrument teacher and I'm glad you're interested in taking lessons with me. Today, this is going to be one of 3 videos for each of the instruments that I teach, and this video is going to focus on the guitar. Now, the guitar is a really popular instrument these days, so certainly you'll get a lot of attention if you pick up the guitar. There's a lot of good things about it. It's very versatile. It has some history in Spain, where it evolved from a Middle Eastern instrument, various other instruments. Its main features that a lot of people enjoy are the fact that you can play a variety of notes, melodies, and chords all in the same hand position without any difficulties, making it a great solo instrument. Nowadays, it comes in a lot of varieties, shapes, and sizes for people who use electrified versions, different body shapes. I'm mostly going to use and teach using an acoustic guitar. Now, any student that only wants to play electric is totally fine. Simply put, the strings are the same, the sounds are very similar, and the only real difference is that the tension on the strings is sometimes a little different. Electric guitars can be easier, so if you eventually want to try acoustic, I suggest starting with it because you'll get more hand strength that way. So that's most of the background of what we know right now. We're going to go to the parts of the instrument now. Like all stringed instruments, the string is pulled tight between 2 points. So starting here at the head, we sometimes call this a head or a headstock if we're talking specifically about the design. But the head instrument is where each of the strings start around a post and are tuned with machines. There's a screw that goes underneath and around the backside that helps tighten or loosen it. The strings then go to what we call the nut. This is usually a mother of pearl or even ivory piece that simply holds, that has a couple of notches, one for each string, holds it in place. The string goes down a fingerboard, which on this instrument we sometimes call a fretboard because it has wires that you hold the note down in order to get a very precise intonation, whereas a lot of other stringed instruments that don't have wires require a lot more ear training, which makes the guitar easier to pick up and learn. And it gives you a more consistent sound and intonation, especially with multiple strings playing at the same time. It's definitely nicer for them all to be in tune if you can help it. So that's all these little dots are here for as well. You'll see different shapes and varieties of them. Sometimes you'll see, large wedges or trapezoids, and all that's just a matter of design and the maker of the instrument. But the dots also run along the side of the neck, which help you determine what position you're in and where you're playing at any given time, in case you want to go further up the neck for particular pieces. You'll see 2 dots at the octave, where the note repeats itself. Going further down, the strings end at what we call the bridge area. Now on an acoustic instrument like this, you'll see that there's a small piece of probably the same material as your nut, where it will stop and be held in place by these little pegs. An electric instrument will usually have a bigger, probably a steel mechanism of some type that allows you to tighten and loosen. Mostly that's just aesthetics and working on the instrument itself. Outside of that, all instruments have a little rod that run alongside the neck on the inside. You can usually adjust it either down here or up here. And all that simply does is it provides a counterpoint to keep your strings tense without warping the neck. On the inside of an acoustic instrument, you'll simply see that there's extra bits of wood that simply help define the color of the instrument as it goes out through the back, vibrates through the body, and comes back forward. On an acoustic electric instrument like this, you'll also occasionally see a panel, which you can use to adjust the sound settings as it goes into an amplifier. For a fully electric instrument, you'll find knobs that do that as well up here, and pickups, which are essentially just magnets that help pick up the vibrations of a steel string. out the jack, you'll see, which is usually just a 1/4 inch cable going into an amplifier. More than likely, if you're playing electric or acoustic electric, you'll have a small amplifier for practice, and eventually you'll want to be able to get into larger amplifiers for stage performance. You'll find a lot of knobs on these amplifiers. All they really are, most of them are for color, but volume and gain are your most important knobs because those will determine exactly how many neighbors you're disturbing at any given time, or your parents. So, that's the basics of the instrument here, where it's designed, how it comes from. The tuning of the strings is something that I can certainly show you more in person, but the tuning comes from the distance between most of these strings is the same, with the exception of these two in the middle here. That one's simply lowered just a little bit compared to the rest because it's easier for the hand positions to be able to make chords. If you didn't, it would require a lot more stretches, and so that's simply something that evolved over time. Usually what I like to leave you with is an exercise that I think you should start with before our first meeting. And what it will do is it'll help you build up a little bit of your strength for when you begin your practice later. You don't really need to know the names of the notes you're working on for this exercise. Simply find a spot where it's comfortable for your hand, especially younger players will probably want to go higher up the neck to start this, and simply hold the string down, your thickest string down, with one finger per string. Start with one finger, your index finger, your middle finger, then your ring finger, and then your pinky. Be able to play these, holding them down, higher up the neck you are when you do this exercise, the easier it will be. So if it feels like you're getting used to it, try going down. Until eventually, if you can hit this point, you'll want to continue practicing this as we have our lessons. But if you can be able to make this stretch, one finger per fret all the way across, you'll eventually have your fingers stretched out enough where they can handle any part of the instrument. And even after you no longer need to do it to build up your muscles or your finger calluses, it'll still be a really useful exercise for warming up. So I think that's all I'm going to cover for today. I hope you give me a call or send me an email with any additional questions you may have. Again, my name is Sarah, and thank you very much for watching.